obviously there were a lot of lobs. I think Jason told Kai that he probably had a career high in lobs. Just what did you guys see from the film from games 1 and 2 that you were able to kind of take advantage of that in this game?
I think our defense dictated the offense. So I think we didn't play great offensively, especially me. But we won the game. That's all that matters.
What does alley-oop do for you, guys, momentum-wise?
Easy 2 points.
Luka, in game 1, you and Kai talked about the physicality has to be better. What's your assessment in game 2 and game 3, which y'all won, on the physicality?
Oh, great. I think we took now 2 steps at the physicality. So I think these last 2 games was great, physical-wise. So, but there's 3 games passed, so we got to focus on the next one.
And when you see PJ, the crowd's going and he makes that pose, and we see you smiling, what's going through your mind, and how do you feel about PJ just protecting the team?
Amazing, man. Amazing. I have nothing else to say. The thing he does, he's a team player. He helps all of us. I'm just really happy we got him on our team.
Luka, you talked about the physicality, but there was obviously some altercation type stuff tonight. How do you think you yourself and then the team responded to all that?
That's fine. It's playoff basketball. There's always going to be some. We stayed focused. We stayed locked in and just played the game.
And then how are you able to channel? You're, an aggressive player, but you weren't looking to fight. Like when they came at you, you walked away. How do you have that balance?
I mean, because I'm used to that. I'm used to players coming to me, at me. I'm used to that, so I'm just trying to stay calm and just keep playing basketball.
Luka, vimos a Florentino Pérez, presidente del Real Madrid, hoy también en el partido. ¿Para ti qué significó que haya viajado para verte jugar?
Muchísimo. Eso explica la grandeza que tiene el Real Madrid. Que Florentino venga a verme en un partido de playoff es increíble. De verdad, le di muchas gracias por venir y es increíble que estuviera aquí.
Un premio de la NBA por tu labor comunitaria. ¿Qué significa también eso para ti?
Muchísimo. Como he dicho ahí en la entrevista, un baloncesto me dio muchísimo y entonces tengo que devolver. Porque me gusta hacerlo y ojalá lo haga más.
Luka, I wanted to ask you, Dereck Lively II, he's someone who you had trust in right away, and he's been battling a tough time. I wanted to ask you about kind of him going through this tough time and still playing great, and then his game tonight as well.
Amazing, man. The kid loves to play basketball. It's amazing. He's I can't imagine how hard situation, and he's still performing well, giving good energy, just explains how great of a guy he is and how special guy he is.
Luka, what'd you do to your knee? And then, how did that feel the rest of the game? And, what do you think moving forward with that?
Yeah, not good. I felt it before I hit the knee, so it's pretty stiff right now, but we'll know more tomorrow. But you know me, I'll try to go anyways.
Just to follow up in English on the question you answered, did you know Francisco was coming? And then what was your...
Florentino, you mean?
Yes, okay. And what was your reaction when you found out he was coming, and how do you feel about the fact that he came to see you play?
Yeah, I knew he was coming. It was amazing, man. Like I say, you can see the great best club in the world is Real Madrid. The president comes and see my game. It was a special moment. I can't even explain it, and I was really happy that when I realized he was coming.
Luka, back here. Congrats on the win. I got a chance to talk to AJ Lawson after the game, who obviously got his first playoff bucket. He was more happy with the win for the team, of course. But what does it do for you when you see, young players like that getting their first playoff bucket and kind of growing in the league?
Amazing. I mean, they're great guys, great players, and you see them cheer for us every time they're on the bench, which explains a lot of the great guys they are. And, just keep working hard. You're going to be playing 40 minutes in this situation. So I appreciate those young guys, they always cheer for us.
Luka, you guys had a lot of energy tonight. And so how do you ride that wave of momentum? And then also, what makes you so difficult to guard?
Yeah, we had big energy. That's why we got to play every game. The second question, I don't know. That's you got to ask other people that guards me, other coaches. So I think maybe I don't know.
Hi, Luka. So you've been in the league, 6 years now, right? You kind of see where guys get into foul trouble, and what foul trouble does to certain players if they have to come out. Like, how do you recognize how many fouls your defenders have, and how do you attack that when you notice it?
I mean, yeah, when we're trying to attack guys that are in foul trouble for sure, because they're not gonna be that aggressive, especially if it's a good defender. You gotta go at him because they're in foul trouble. They're not gonna be the same defending. They're not gonna be that aggressive. So you just gotta go at them.
Talk about the performance of your team tonight. You came out with a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. The Clippers came back in the third quarter, cut it to single digits, but then you turned it on. Talk about the performance of the team tonight.
Yeah, I think we had a good start to the game, great energy, like you said, and we're just feeding off of that and trying to make the right plays. In a playoff game, game 3, it could go either way, just depending on how you start and also how you continue to be resilient in those next 3 quarters. So I think we did a good job of just sticking to our game plan and being aware that they were going to make plays within the plays and sometimes break it off. So we had to be aware of some of their quick decisions and be aware of T-Lu's play calling out of timeouts. He's shooting he has a pretty high percentage against us right now, so we obviously want to cut that down. But when it gets to the gritty part of the game, I feel like we responded and we kept our emotions and we were able to battle to the end and come out with this win. So I feel pretty good.
Kyrie, congrats on the win. I talked to AJ after the game. He got his first playoff bucket. I know you've had a lot of accomplishments throughout your career, but I'm curious, do you remember your first playoff bucket?
Yeah, I do, and it's something that you don't want to take for granted. I didn't take for granted, and I was telling those young guys when they got in, go after it. Minutes in a playoff game are just as important as any other minute. You just never know when your number is going to be called, so I'm glad that AJ answered the call and I was able to get a lob and feel good about himself, and we were cheering him on, and that's what team basketball is about. It's just everybody, fulfilling their role, but also celebrating the small wins out there, even if it's at the end of the game.
Jason was talking about the positive impact you had, even though you had 2 first-half points. You were a plus 10 on the court and doing everything else. How can you explain the process you go through mentally, just kind of staying patient, and then all of a sudden they get within 6 in the third quarter and you kind of kick into overdrive?
I definitely would love to speak to that in detail in the future. I'll answer your question. I was saying I would love to talk to the younger generation about it because there are things that I struggle with as a young player, especially in high intense moments where you're kind of used to having the ball in your hands, or you look up at the scoreboard, which a lot of us happen to do. I know I'm not the only one, and sometimes if you don't see your points total looking like normal, you can psych yourself out of the game, and you can end up being in a position mentally where you're not able to still impact positively. And that's something in competitive sports we don't talk about often. It's just the external pressure that people put on themselves to live up to certain expectations when it's just one game. You're playing in the playoffs, and if you look at the history of the game, there's not a fancy formula that all these championship teams had. They just continued to battle, continued to do the little things on the defensive end first, and then allowed their offense to flourish. If you look at some of the greatest players in history, some of their low moments, they didn't score much, but they had a huge impact on the game. So I try to have that same approach mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then allow my physical talents and abilities to play out in the right time and right situation. So just being mature about it, man. It's 2 points, so the F what. It's about winning the game at the end of the day and making an impact when it's needed most.
Kyrie, how do you think you guys, and PJ in particular, handled the extra chippiness that occurred in the fourth quarter?
I was just telling my wife this other day. I think we spoil the fans in the regular season. in terms of how many points are scored and how, it's a different style of basketball. When we get into the playoffs, and it gets a little extra chippy. And, I think when you're seeing the true competitive nature of certain guys, it's human, and you got to be able to control it. That's the key to all this. And if you're going to dish it out, you better be able to be ready or prepare for somebody to dish it back to you. So you just got to pick and choose your battles wisely, know who you can get under a little bit mentally, and just focus on the big picture at the end of it. That's overall. It's just don't get kicked out of the game. But if you are, then just make it worth your while, and just make sure we're winning. You know what I mean? Like, just make sure we're winning, and that covers a lot of mistakes. Is when you win, you kind of get exited out of the game. But I think things are going to happen throughout the rest of the series, and we just got to be prepared. And a lot of provoking going on, but it's just chippiness of the NBA game and just basketball when stretches get a little tough.
Is there any benefit to embracing the theater of competition?
You said what?
Is there any benefit to embracing the theater of competition?
Embracing the theater? What do you mean? What comes with it?
Exactly.
With playoffs or just in basketball in general? Just playoffs? Yeah, you have to embrace it, and you also have to be conditioned mentally and physically to be able to dish it out. I think that's what you're seeing right now is both teams are saying physicality, and you got to be able to do it for 4 quarters and still be able to run your offense at a very high level, still stay efficient, don't force yourself into a one-on-one matchup, and then defensively be there for your teammates and continue to stay locked in and focused. So, again, it's a chess match.
You kind of just answered my question, Kyrie. When you're playing against an opponent who is not 100% and they can also often be seen as a wounded animal. And how do you guys maintain your focus to stay aggressive and disregard that and get your job done?
Just making the main thing, which is winning the ball game. They're going to throw guys at us. We're going to throw guys at them. They have depth. We have depth. In a playoff series, I don't think anyone's really 100%. So we're all battling through something physically, but I think mentally, when you can galvanize the group and trust that when you go out, someone else will fill your spot and continue to bring the energy, continue to do the right things on the offensive and defensive end, and that takes one stressor away from you if you are wounded, or a little injured. And I know a lot about the injury bug, especially in the playoffs. I could think back to just my Boston series where I played 20 games in that season, and you just don't have that extra gear. And everybody's been playing, 60 games in the regular season, then you come into the playoff series. It's a little tough. I think some of the greatest can do it, but when you're going against some guys that are really clicking at the right time, it's a little difficult to get your rhythm. So the playoffs are a different level. You don't get a chance to just fire away at will like the regular season. Every possession matters, and for us, we just want to focus on our main thing, which is again winning the ball game.
To follow up on that, what has helped you guys click so easily this second half of the season, if you will?
We just took a look in the mirror and we had a lot of bonding time off the court, and we just did things as a team, and we went through adversity. We talked about it. We were very honest in our therapy sessions that we used to have after games sometimes, or at times, and we just were ready to move on to the next thing. We don't have time for distractions. You got to eliminate all those. So that's been the pretty much the MO in our locker room is, when teams are coming at us, look back at the times where we did not live up to our standard and use that as motivation and energy to continue to put your best foot forward. And I could live with the results, and I'm sure as Luka walks into and J Kidd and the rest of us, we could live with the results if we put our best foot forward and the team just beats us that night. Or we're not shooting particularly well and we can rely on our defense, or vice versa. So just keeping the big picture ahead of us.
Hey, Kyrie, you're 19. You first forced 19 turnovers, 12 steals, I think 7 or 8 blocks. To put it in the NBA theme this year, is the Mavs defense a thing now?
I don't know if we're necessarily looking for recognition. We'll see if this journey continues and we get to the big stage, and we can honestly be judged at the end of the season that way. But it's just another game 3, and us just going back and watching film tomorrow and continuing to see where we can get better, because we definitely weren't perfect tonight. I feel like we did some great things, and it's we can celebrate that. But overall, we just know we have to keep that hunger inside of us and continue to want to be better.
Kai, and when we usually discuss foul trouble, we'll say 3 fouls in the first half or 4 fouls in the third quarter. You picked up your fourth, and you only had 2 points, but the rest of the game, you had 19. You didn't pick up another foul. How did you manage that? How do you usually manage that? And how did you have so much success throughout foul trouble tonight?
Yeah, well, I would like to continue my streak of not fouling out of games. I think that's a positive. I like to think of myself as a valuable asset out there, so just got to play it smart and also understand that they're going to be targeting me a little bit and just be able to respond and just use my IQ to the best of my ability. It's not going to be the last time that I have 4 fouls, so just preparing for those moments and just reverting back to what I was talking about before, just trusting that the guy that comes in for me during that time also has that ability and belief and confidence from me that he can continue to run or give me a breather or give me time to be able to settle my thoughts, because there were some fouls that I was committing that are uncharacteristic, and I got to be real with myself and be accountable. Some of them I just can't commit, and so you look at it 20/20 hindsight and you're like, I should do this better, but at the end of the day, it's a team game, so I got to trust whoever comes in with me, and those situations are going to come up again, and we just got to be prepared as a team to deal with them.
Dereck, one thing that Coach Kidd said is he said that all of y'all did a great job of protecting one another. Could you talk about the physicality of tonight's game and y'all standing up for your teammates?
I feel like these last 2 games have definitely set the tone of physicality. The officials aren't really calling any calls, and they're just going to let us play. So it's really going to come down to whatever team comes out and throw the first punch and is able to take a punch and throw another back. Just being able to try to be the aggressor the whole night.
Dereck, you guys had 10 dunks in the first half, 13, I think, overall for the game. What was working out there with the lobs, especially from Kyrie?
Just trusting one another. Everybody knows that if anybody steps up to them, me and Gaff are chilling behind them ready for the lob. So just being able to know that trust and chemistry is really going to take us the whole way.
Dereck, speaking of those lobs, when you finish one of those and you hear the entire American Airlines Center kind of go crazy, what is that feeling like when you're kind of walking back down the court?
That's real hard to describe. There's not a lot of feelings that can really be up to that standard. Everybody in the arena was yelling, and it just felt like everybody in there wanted us to win as much as the whole team did. So just being able to have that amount of energy behind us just makes us want to play that much harder.
Dereck, I wanted to ask, I know we talked about the physicality, but Luka, the way he kind of just ran over when things were getting out of hand to stop things, and then when he got pushed, he walked away. What does that do just as a leader in that type of scenario?
It shows how he's locked in. He's locked into winning. He's not locked into the nastiness of what can go on in the game. There's going to be a lot of times where people are going to try to get him out of his comfort zone, going to try to get him out of his rhythm, or to try to get into his head. And all he needs to do is know that his teammates got his back. We're going to step in and make sure he could cool out and make sure he go back on the other side of the play.
In the first half, when Harden had that little run of threes, Luka went to the bench and called out to the coaches, "Give me Harden."
Yep.
What does that say about the defensive mentality that it seems like you all have adopted as a unit in this series?
I think we all can see it. I think we all see that when we're on the defensive side, there's a different look in everybody's eye. It's like being aggressive and being the aggressor, even though that they have the ball. We know what they're good at. We know what they're bad at, and we're just trying to be able to put them in spots where really hard spots where they could either don't like the shot they're in, or it's a really contested shot.
Dereck, tonight, the first 2 games were kind of light for you scoring. Tonight, you were able to go for double figures off the bench. What do you think clicked for you this evening?
Just being able to have good teammates to find me when I'm open. There's going to be people who's going to step up to try to stop Kyrie and Luka, and that's where I can just feed off of. Either dump-offs, lobs, or putbacks. There's just ways that I can affect the game.
Dereck, we obviously know Sunday's going to be another intense battle. What level of mental focus is it going to take for you guys to get the job done on Sunday?
Just being able, a lot, honestly, being able to be poised. They're great players. They're going to go on runs. They're going to go on streaks where they make points or where we can't make anything. And we got to be able to be together. We got to be able to know that no matter what's going on in the court, we got to figure out what we need to do and execute.
Dereck, when you think back to the start of the year, could you win a game like this without hitting a bunch of threes, without Luka and Kyrie having huge point totals, one that's based off the defense, off the physicality?
It would definitely make the game a lot rougher. I'm definitely not going to say that we want to win the game, but it would be a dogfight. I feel like each game in this playoff series is going to be a dogfight, and so on and so forth. So being able to know that if it's going to be a fight, we're going to come out swinging.
Dereck, now that PJ's been on the team for a couple months now, and tonight, super physical, he was involved in a couple altercations. He ended up getting ejected. What does PJ kind of being a dog do for y'all as a team?
It riles us up. He's like the legs and he's like the mouth of the team. Being able to know that he got our back, he's talking on defense, and as soon as we are in transition, he's running the floor. You know, he's one of our, if not the best defensive player we have. So when he's on their best defender, their best offensive player, and he's getting it in their head, he's making it difficult for them, that just makes everybody else want to step up and be able to play harder.
Dereck, do you think this level of defense is sustainable night after night?
Hope. It's really just going to come down to us being disciplined, us being locked into each play, because that's what the playoffs is. It's possession by possession.
Dereck, what does it say about Daniel to overcome his tough first two games, overcome the back spasms? And he had a couple of highlights out there, especially at that block on Paul George.
It just shows his grit. It just shows how much he wants to win. You know, some people are banged up, some people are going through things off the court, but whenever it comes to us being in the locker room, us being together, that's whenever we're all together. We all trust one another. We all have a lot of great chemistry, and we're being able to know that we're going out there and we're playing for something. We're not going there playing out for each other.
Can you talk about the enthusiasm and the effort and the energy that you guys exuded tonight? The whole arena was electric. How did you feed off of that, and how will you ride that wave of momentum?
Just being able to know that we got one another. You know, no matter if the arena's full, if the arena's empty, we're playing basketball. We go out there, we have each other's backs. We go out there and make sure that no matter what's going on, no matter who has a run or not, we're going to be able to know that we got to do what we got to do. We got to play defense, we got to get out, we got to run, and we got to execute on the offensive end. And that just comes down to simple basketball.
Dereck, we know that Tyson Chandler and you have been at the hip pretty much the whole season. How much has he helped you in your first playoff series?
Words can't even describe how much he's helped me. Being able to know that I got to focus on the court whenever there's so much things going on off the court. That's kind of the hardest part. I love playing basketball each day, but it's hard to wake up whenever there's a lot of things going on in the off-court life. But he's been able to help me keep my head on my two shoulders, help me stay focused, and he's just someone I can go and talk to no matter what the situation is. And he's definitely been a humongous help.